and a request and response. And here we are defining. Again, we need to connect with the database. Then we are configuring Mongo client.connect, and here the URL and a callback function. This callback function is expecting an error, and we have a client object. And here, if there is no error, so if there is no error, and if there is error, it should return that error, console.log error. If there is no error, same here what it have to do, create a database object, and through the database object. So here we need to create client object .db and access the database called shopping DB. In this shopping DB, so we are using database object .dbo .collection, and this time we need TBL products .find, and this find requires all the records to access and convert to array, and you use a callback function, and here we are defining an error and a client. This is documents. We are sending the documents, and here we are displaying. So if not error, so what should happen? We need to send all the documents. Response.send, all the documents are sent. Okay, now else if there is an error, we will send that error. So console.log, and we need to send the error. That's the point. So this is basically how we are defining and configuring. Now we have two requests. One is for accessing the list of all the categories. Another one accessing the list of all products. So here, let's compile that and see again. So we are compiling this server.js, and we are accessing now / another one is products. So it is going to return all the products. Acha, here table name might be some wrong. It is showing empty array, means table name might be some capitalization. We created TBL products P uppercase actually. And we will compile that once. Okay, run. Now you can see it will get all the data of products and display. This is what actually happening in the fake store API also. In the fake store API /products, it is returning all the products in the same. The same we have done here. We maintain the data, we are accessing the data, and we are presenting the data. So here, this is the presentation. Generally, when we are interacting with the data, we can add some queries. For example, I want to separate the products based on ID. I need to search for the product based on ID and return. So let's create another method here. That means it should accept the ID and filter the products and return it. So here we are creating another request app. So we are defining, so get, this time here we have /products /, and we have an ID. That is the query route parameter. Yesterday we discussed about route parameters. I am configuring a function. So here the function is, so we are defining a request and response. And here the same, we have to define the connection. So Mongo client.connect. So here we have to connect with URL. Why we need to connect? Because this is discrete connection. Discrete connection means user can request this directly. It's not like they have to come in order. That means first they have to see categories, after that products. For every request, connection should be independent. You should configure that. So here we are defining an error and a client object. And here we are defining if there is no error, And here we need to specify if there is no error. And here we need to handle. So client object where database object is equal to client object dot db. In that database is shopping db. And in this, so we are creating, so dbo database object dot collection tbl products. Okay, on that we have find. Now find query is there. Actually, it should return to array. Everything is same. If there is an error, if not error, so then it should return the documents. That means this will return an error and the documents. It should return the searched documents. Response.send, it is sending the documents. Okay. Here, the query is defined. How to write the query in database? How we can define the query in the database? So how we configure the query in the database? So in the find query, how you can specify the database? Generally, in the find query, we have to define the query database like this. You know already queries how to write. I told you how you configure the queries. So the query here, the parameter is ID. It should match with the ID you are passing in the route parameter. How we can access the route parameter? Yesterday we learned one method, how to access the route parameter. So it is matching with the route parameter. That means by using request object, request.params dot the parameter is ID. But here one point is, okay, this is fine. You configured that. This is the query you passed it to it. That means for this query, it will fetch that particular product and display. It will display. Now you can see that is the URL defined. So it's ready. Now let's run this and see. We will compile again once we make the changes. And here we are defining in the URL, we are accessing. So products, first it is categories. Categories is working fine. The products also working fine. And products slash, so the query string, that is the parameter is passed here. Products of 2. Then it is returning an empty record. Why it is returning an empty record? What is the point here? Actually, there is no problem, but the query is okay. But observe here, actually the ID that you passed in route parameter, that ID you passed is a string type. But actually the ID present, so inside the data is not a string type, it is a number type. The ID is a number type. So we need to parse the data. So here several more points are there. For example, we need to parse the data. How do we parse the data? So that means here we are defining parse int. So we need to parse this ID request parameter and define it. That means this ID is a number now. It's a number, it's not a string. So that means it's verifying with the number. So the data type that is in the database and the data type you defined should match. Now you see it is able to get the second product and display that. The data type should match. That's very important. Whenever you are performing the filters and all, you need to do that. So here I am configuring. So the products of 1, it is accessing the product. I am accessing products of 3. It is accessing that and displaying. So this is displaying based on that reference. You can use anything. For example, I am using, this is filtering based on ID. That means I want all the products that belongs to a specific category. So I say electronics, all electronic products should come. I say jewelry, all jewelry products should come. So that means we need to write again another query for that. Let's do that. These all type of APIs need to be provided to the clients, because the client side developers need all these APIs for different actions. You see the fake store API people. So the fake store API people, these people are providing. Here you see so many get methods. One method is for same like products. It is returning all the products. Another method, the product ID, same like I created this product ID, it is returning. Another product categories, it should return all the categories that's already there. And here, when user selects category and category name, it should get all the products belongs to that category. So all the products belongs to that category. We want to create such option now for our API. That means, so here we need to define another filter, means another API request. So app.get here /products and not products, we will give categories /: category. Categories of category. That is actually category name, whatever the category name they entered. So that is the category. So here we are using a callback function now. So we define a callback function. So the request and response. And in this request and response, so Mongo client.connect. And here we have to define the connect URL. Okay, let's use a callback function. So rest of options are same. So error and client object. And here we are defining if not error. And we are creating database object. And here we have a client object DB. And here we are specifying the option like shopping DB. Okay, that is the database name. And let's write the collection now. It is TBL products in TBL products. So we have to find and return to array. So function, and it returns an error and documents. Now what we need to do here, so if not error, then it should return all the documents, but that belongs to that particular category. Again, you have to add a filter in the find. So now you are filtering based on category. Category is matching with route. So that is a request.params category. Both are string only, category names, so no problem. So that means it will return all of them that belongs to that category. And response.send, so all the documents. It is sending all the documents. Now these are the filters that you have configured. Now I will one more time compile that. Server started. Now you see in the URL here. So we are requesting categories slash, and I said electronics. Electronics is the category name, and it should get all the electronic products. Some problem? So the problem is, so what is the problem? It is saying DB not defined. Yeah. So we will check once. So shopping DB, DBO, right? Yeah, DBO. DBO dot collection, right? We need to access that. Fine. Compile that one more time. Yes. And refresh. It should get all the electronic products. Only electronic products will come. You see the ID 9 and the ID 10 and the ID 11. Only these are coming. ID 12 and ID 13, ID 14. Suppose I am searching for here jewelry. So I am searching for jewelry. And it should get only jewelry. So that is 5, 6, 7, 8. These are jewelry products. It is going to access only those and display. So we have created various API requests for handling different types of queries. This is good to configure all the queries so that we can easily access them and we can use them. Now our API is ready. So, and it is fetching the data and presenting. Remember, in this, we need to create post methods also. We need to configure and create post methods. So generally, how you can manage that, how you can configure and create the post methods and define them. Usually, that in the next point, we will add it. But for that post, we need to design a form. From the form, we need to submit the data and it should insert into the database that we will create. First, all the API requests are ready. With the get methods, it is configured. And we use the different queries for that. So we configure different queries for interacting with the data. For categories table, for products table, filter based on ID, filter based on category, all such queries related options are defined. So finally, what are the API requests we are having in our database? That means here, let's create a table form. So what are the API requests we are having? So let's say, yeah, a tabular form. And in this, so in this, we have a request. And here we are defining the description for that request, what it is being. Description will be short. The request will be like this. Yeah. So what is the API request we configured? The request is, one is /products. So it is going to /products is going to return all products. Return all products. Okay. Another we have all products. Another we have /. So we need here another option is, so we created categories also. Categories. This is going to return all categories. All categories. Now here, so we have products, categories /category. This is return all products. Belong to specified category. That's what we want to display. And we have another /products /ID 1, 2, 3 like this. So returns will return the product that matches the product that matches given ID. That matches given ID. These are the API requests we have configured. And for that, we have designed, and our API is this. The API URL is this, http 127.0.01:8080. That is the API. In that we have all these requests. In that we are configuring all these requests. You can also have like http://localhost and 8080. And in that we designed all these requests. We configured all these requests. So here we are copying all this code for you so that you can try all this. And this is the program server.js. In this, you need to keep all this. This is all the data, right? Now, what you have to do is by consuming this API, this is our API that we are having. By consuming this API, we need to create a UI. Already we have jQuery application and this is the API. Now make sure that this API is running in the background. API is running in the background. Okay. So you see this API is running in the background. So let's start. So node server.js API is running in the background. Once the API is running, now you can use this in your front-end application. In the back-end API is running. You can use this in the front-end application to access the data and communicate with the data present in your database. So let's go to our front-end application. That means this is our back-end application. Let's go to the front-end application. I will go to our 4 p.m. project here. That is the front-end application, right? And in this application, now we need to consume the data. Earlier, we have seen how we can consume that with the jQuery AJAX. I showed you NASA APIs and all this. Now we need the API to consume here and present here. Well, let's do that. So in this, we have created a page, some shopping.html. Okay, now here we have to create a simple HTML document. Okay, let's add doc type HTML head title. So here fetch API. Okay. And let's link relation style sheet and href is node modules. So bootstrap dist CSS bootstrap CSS. Okay. Initially bootstrap is enough as of now, and we will link the script source is equal to. So from node modules, so jQuery, we are taking this to jQuery.js, right? So we are configuring that. We are defining. So we specified this, and now in the body section, we create a table and we need to present the data. Container fluid. So let's create a div class. So margin top 2. So here we define a button and so show products. That's it. Show products. Okay. We can create categories, products, everything. So just I am using the show products option here. Or let's create a row like design now. So row, and in that we will create a div class as call3. And here we have a heading here as a select category. Okay, and we will put a drop down here. And let's say form select, class as form select. Fine. Now we need to make a request here. So, and fetch the data and display the data here. in this drop down. So I will keep an ID for this LST categories. Into that, we need to add the data. And data, remember, now it is coming from our API. This is the path. So this is the page. This is the page we are having. I want all the categories information to display. All the categories information to display here. So we need to fetch from here. So let's see. For that, what we have to do. So we will write a script and function. So in the function, so we are configuring here. When document is ready, we will use $Ajax. And Ajax uses the method. What is the method? Method is get. Okay. And what is the URL? From where the URL is coming. This time, this URL is your API URL, your own API URL that you created. That is 127.0.0.1:8080. In that, all the categories information is present in categories route. This is the API that we created, in that we have a route which is going to fetch all the categories. And here we will define a success function. It uses a callback function. And this callback function will get all the data and present the data. That means whatever the data comes, we need to present the data. And where to present in the drop down, we need to present the data. We need to configure it. So we are using here a simple logic dot each. So that means we are performing an iteration on data. Performing iteration on data, it will collect a callback function with key and value. And here, so we need to present that value. So as an option for every item. So we need to create. So here $. So we need to add the data. We need to add the data into LST categories. So how we can add it? First, we need to create LST categories. That means for every item, we are creating an option. So we are creating an option. So this option contains the key and value references. Here it will have the value. That means the category name, every category name. Actually, this is an array. And remember, categories is returning categories list which contain category ID and category name. You see our API. So the categories API, observe. It is returning category ID and category name. So that means you have two properties. So here we need to define the property. So value dot category name. We are accessing the category name. And we need to append this. So that means we have to append this. And where you need to append, we need to append to LST categories. That's the option. That means we need to access this. So expression, we need to configure that expression. And the dot append to, we need to append to. So hash LST categories. So that means we need to append to LST categories. That means the drop down. So it will create an option. And it will add into the categories list. So that means here in the categories list, it should get that. But here you see in the inspect, when you are accessing this, so you have the problem here. You see there is a problem. Observe carefully this problem. So somebody has blocked this URL. This is one major concept you need to understand. This is very important. We call this as cross origin resource sharing. Actually, this is a very common problem that comes. That means there is no problem in your logic, but the problem that you will face in network data sharing actually is your API is running on this origin. That means this server location. And your web application is running in another location. That means in the same machine, actually, both servers are present. One server is running your API, another server is running your web application, different port numbers. And they are trying to share information between them. If they are trying to share information between them, so server firewalls will block them. It says that data from another server is not allowed, but it should allow. It says it is not allowed. Actually, we have to write the settings for this cross-origin policies. There is alternative point also that is not recommended. As a developer, alternatively, you can try that, but that is not recommended. So what is recommended is define the course related options in your API. Then it is ready. So there is alternative like, see, I'm using Edge browser. Suppose I'm using a Chrome browser. I'm using Chrome browser. In this Chrome browser, same, I will open this web application. Open this web application here, the Chrome browser I am accessing. You see categories are coming. That means your code is not wrong. Only the point is some browsers are blocking the data coming from another source. They are blocking that data. That is the problem here. This browser is blocking. So that means we don't know which browser they will use. So we need to design in such a way that every browser allows this to transform and present it. For that, we need to define cross-origin related settings in our APIs. So in our API, we need to define that. For that, we have a special library called CORS library. So we have to install that CORS library, cross-origin resource sharing. So this library we have to install. Let's do that work. I will stop this. Okay. Let's go to the API and here let's install this. In our backend application, npm install CORS. You have to just use npm install CORS and save CORS. We are downloading and installing the CORS library. And after installing the CORS library, here we are importing the CORS library. So where CORS is equal to require CORS. So we are using the CORS. And Express have to use this CORS library. That means we have to write here. So app.use CORS. This CORS method it should use. That means now our server application is using a CORS library that allows to transport data across any browser. It will not allow to block the data. You can write the CORS settings in such a way that it can allow for certain requests. It can block for other requests. I will tell you. Initially, I defined that CORS and configured it. And in the Edge browser, now it is working fine. There is no problem. In the Chrome browser also it is working. And in the Edge browser it is working. So that means After you configured the CORS, then there is no more blocking. That means it is allowed. You can access that and you can use it. It's not blocking anymore. If the CORS options are not configured, then you have problem. Actually, some browsers will allow, some browsers will block it. We need to handle that. That's very important. And to handle that, you need this mechanism to do. So that means we need a CORS library so that it is not blocked, especially when you are consuming. So here, so we need to understand about CORS. So cross origin, resource sharing. So it is a library. It is a library required for server-side application to handle cross origin, so or simply CORS issues. Actually, server will block data across the data from across origin. Server will block data from across origin. So you have to use CORS. So with the middleware. So we have to use CORS with middleware. Generally, what we have done for that, so just we have installed npm install CORS save. Okay, and after that, now your API will be different. That means now server.js. In this, we need to add some extra lines. So I'm configuring those extra lines. That means now your data is configured and ready. So, and here, so what the point here is, once you define, now in this, so how to consume this in the client-side application. So once it is configured, this is the how we consume in client-side application. Now we need to get the data from the products and display the products. So we will continue this example now. That means right side, we need to display the products. And we need to add the options like filtering, sorting, such things we need to present that. So that means this is the page. So this is some shopping.html. In this, so this is the logic for consuming the data and using it. Here we are only accessing the categories. Now we need to access the products and display. You know how to do that. So, and how we can present that products now. That means we have a separate API request for products. We need to fetch that and we need to use it. So how we can filter the data, sort and display the data. So from the API that we will see in the next session. Now you should try up to this. Okay, so you have to try how to create the API, how to create the front end, how to fetch that and present it. Now, once you have done up to this, now in the next level, so we will see how we can post the data and work with the data that we will see in our next session. Okay. And meanwhile, some of your resumes are shortlisted and sent to the companies. And you can expect the call from the companies mostly tomorrow or by Monday. Okay, some of your people, we sent your resumes based on the tasks done by you. We forwarded your resumes to the companies. You can expect the call by Saturday or Monday. People who, I already told you that we selected only the people who are regularly practicing, submitting exercises and them. And so they have good packages starting with 3 lakhs for a fresher. And they don't need any even experience also. And even without experience also. So some people are asking for web developers and we have sent them your resumes. So only few people we selected because we are selecting only the people who are are regularly doing the tasks and submitting from the go of HTML onwards for us. Okay. So for them, we have shortlisted and sent to the companies. You get ready for that interviews. So few people. Okay. And tomorrow we will continue with this. Right.